There is this anime that ever since watching it struck a chord in me that turned the gears in my head around. Although the upcoming sequel did not reach the original season's potential, the original is marvelous in its own way. Psychopass is a world of dystopian future held by one system of law, the Sibyl system. The system organizes everything human-related, from a person's compatibility in work, needs, and even love. It measures each person's psychology with a number, and thus matches each person with a course seen most beneficial to the person and the society. The system is also able to measure a person's criminal coefficiency number, a number that determines if that person has a likelihood to become a criminal or not. To the people of that time, the system itself is the law that regulates everything, making all they have to do is to follow the system, and their future is set. However, the people deemed useless in the eye of Sibyl will also be forsaken. This video will obviously have spoilers for Psychopass Season 1. If you've had plans to watch it, I suggest keeping this video in the backlog and return later after you finish it. Spoiler warning, you have been warned. Season 1's major villain, Makishima Shogo, is the one you could call above the law. Most people there cannot think of doing a crime without their criminal coefficiency number going up. The mere thought of I want to do X or Y will immediately jack up your number. Yet for Makishima, that is not the case. On top of that, Makishima thinks the system is flawed, as is the people of the time. He believes that humans should choose with their own wits, be responsible for it, and grow from it whatever the outcome, which is what you would expect coming from the protagonist, not the antagonist. With that in mind, he acts as a mastermind to bring down the very system itself. He did do some unforgivable things before that, such as developing and helping people to become serial killers. He believes that those longing to do these criminal acts are the closest to the people of the old world, where there are even lesser boundaries. He longed for freedom not just for him, but for the whole society. He takes an interest in seeing people act when there are no boundaries to control them, even if for the better of only themselves. The reason why I brought the main antagonist is because of his interesting view and ideology in this whole scenario. Obviously, he is still a villain and does a lot of unacceptable behaviors, but his strong ideals are what makes him an interesting character altogether, and what makes him the perfect antagonist to tackle the main character, not just in the battle of the body, but also in a clash of ideology. Aside from his wrongdoings, all the killings and helping murderers, you cannot deny he's got a point. One of them is the fact of how the system has stolen the actual meaning of living from the people at the time. As I have stated before, the system has brought prosperity and security for a large portion of society. With the system governing everything from simple matters to major judgments, people don't need to worry about picking the wrong decisions anymore. Just imagine living without any worry as long as you follow the recommended procedures. Your life, money, recreation, partnership, work will all be assured. Sounds all good like heaven, right? I do believe so, but we mustn't disregard the downside of this God's gift. With nothing to worry about, with everything served on a silver platter, we miss the chance of growth by using our own power and ability. In my point of view, living doesn't simply mean to breathe and eat, but also to be able to think freely and judge everything by your own standard. Sure, if you breathe, that does mean you are alive, but only ever so physically. That moment where we worry, where we cry, where we are happy, shocked, ecstatic, angry, scared, confused, disgusted, all ranging from the positives to the negatives is what describes us to be alive. It explains our own consciousness that we exist at that very moment, as was said by Descartes. It also allows us to overcome ourselves and become better as a person. Simply ignoring the negatives and only taking the positives out of life means that we deny half of our existence, ignoring the fact that we are a flawed creature that still has a long way in our journey, missing the chance to learn and to enjoy what the journey has to offer. After all, there is always the saying, it's not the destination, it's the journey that matters. Which is why I somewhat agree with what Makishima Shogo is acting upon. In our modern world, where freedom of opinion is basically sitting in your pocket, where we could all be free, who is to say that we're not actually controlled, although with subtler ways instead? We all say we are free to do anything, and while that is true, we also still follow a certain value, a norm, without even questioning it. Even the people who brag about how different they are from the world are following a certain value of being quote-unquote different, thus becoming stereotypical. Instead of so much being different, they let themselves be dictated by another value, albeit of the minority. Like a guy who follows, for example, book talk, who picks up reading because phone bad. Not that reading itself is bad, that's not what I'm getting at. In the end, being different these days simply means following the values from another group, mostly the ones of the few. Rather than the actual meaning of different, they decided to become a persona that has been taken by others, only in a smaller number. In a way, Sibyl that controls a person's behavior acts the same way with stereotypes. Although with stereotypes, you are far more unconstrained to explore your own ways than with Sibyl. That does not make it any less unhealthy, however, since copying a stereotype means that you are following another value rather than a value yourself has made and come up with. Instead of your life being your journey, you take off another persona that's been walked by another person. Your pain isn't actually yours, it's the persona's pain. Your different isn't actually yours, as it is the persona's different, the persona's value. And as the persona is also taken by a number of people as well, it turns being different into being similar like X rather than being different from the general public. Thus, you could say we are living in a world where there are dozens of smaller and subtler Sibyl systems. Being different in our modern world is such an easy feat to do, yet there are still limitations on those being different. If one were to be completely different from the complete rest of a diverse society, in a way that one would be alone, completely alone, cut off from the rest of the world. The public wouldn't be able to relate to that one and vice versa, thus creating a complete blockage from their interaction. Being a social life form ourselves, that one wouldn't be able to withstand that rejection. His existence will also vanish from the public's mind. Of course, this is just an example of what if we took someone from the general public and make him unrelatable from the rest. There are several people that could withstand such solitude, although only few dozen, so we couldn't really take them as a subject. In any case, if he would like a place inside the public, he would at least has one or two traits to make him relatable, thus meaning copying some value from this diverse world. Hence, it is safe to say that these values control you unconsciously, that one is forced to be somewhat relatable if they want a place in the society. But there is also another way that the value is controlling you. Let's say if people see someone fit a criterion of a group, they will expect that someone to be part of it and fit the other criteria of that group as well. In psychology, this process is called a suggestion. This process leads someone, particularly the one that thinks uncritically to act or think the way the suggester wanted, whether it's consciously or unconsciously. As an example, let's say we have Z as a subject. Z likes an emo hairstyle. Seeing this, with what has been etched in people's mind, society as the suggester will see Z as being edgy and suggest that he is indeed so, even when his personality might not be like so. It might not be a bother once or twice, but because it's been etched to the minds of the many, thus many will suggest the same as well. Z can keep denying the fact that he is edgy, and although some will understand, the bigger part of the society will still push him to fit in the other criterion of being edgy. In time, this will become a bigger annoyance and he will be left with two choices: whether to accept the suggestion and become a part of the group, becoming edgy, or leave his favorite hairstyle because the judgment of people is getting on his nerves. But being similar or copying other people isn't really the problem here. The problem lies in the idea that by being other people, becoming a persona of others, that it could buy a place or even happiness the same as that persona. People tend to push themselves to be someone else just because they want to be accepted as part of a group, part of a tribe. Although, as I've said before, since we're living in a modern era, it is easier to be more diverse with the choices. Becoming someone else's persona makes it easier than just discovering your own way. It's like walking someone else's path. You already know the rough pebbles in the way, the holes, the obstacles that might get in your path, because someone already walked it before. With this, we can brush aside or at least be ready for the challenges to come, since it also had already been walked before. It helps to reduce and avoid the negative feelings that we hate. And furthermore, it buys us a place in society because we are filling a place that was empty, left by someone else, by the persona that we took. People will be willing to accept us as easily because they already had an expectation of that persona, thus diminishing the threat of the negatives that we'd very much like to avoid. All at the cost of, I don't know, losing ourselves. But hey, we got acceptance, and the community who accepts us is happy, a win-win. Being different isn't a wrong thing. Wanting to be one is also isn't. Losing yourself in the path of others that you might even lose happiness while in it is what's concerning. Just because we don't want to get hurt at the end doesn't mean we have to be hurt on the road so we can say the end justifies the means. Both could very well end up in ways that we wouldn't be able to control. One could end up wasting their whole life living a lie for something that they have no interest in. Don't let your life be dictated by anything outside of yourself. If you want to do something, be different, etc., then do it by all means. But do it for yourself, not just for the sake of doing it or for the sake of being quirky. Do it because you love it, because you were happy doing it. And conversely, if you hate something or someone, it's fine to space yourself against them. Both people's praises and mocks are just a side outcome. Do not tread a path towards it. Tread a path that's for you, that you can be comfortable with. Besides, there are always two sides to the coin. Some people hate you, some likes you. The only one whose opinion you should always listen to is yourself. Lead a life that you want to live. Hate what you want to hate. You are you, not them, not someone else. Your path is your own. This is one of the articles I wrote for my blog before I decided I'm gonna make a YouTube channel. My last video was quite a change, so I decided I just want to do something easy. This is not it. It was easy in terms of making the script. I just need to change some here and there. I hope editing me will have the same fun experience, wink wink. In any case, thank you once again for stopping by. In contrast to the last video, this is so heavy. Thumbs up if you like it, thumbs down if you dislike it. And let me know what you think of the ideologies and commentary the anime is trying to portray. Do you agree with my take? Do you agree with Makishima? Put it down there, I'll be reading them all the time. With that in mind, I'll be seeing you next time. Wait!
My bad.